Oh, it's spinning. Yay! Hello, and welcome to this week Training Tuesday Live. Yay! We are Magnet Marketers, and we are coming here with you today to talk about the recap of Social Media Marketing World 20. It just happened last week. It felt like yesterday, or more like we're still recovering, like it was yesterday anyway. But excited to come with you to you with all of our updates, recaps, takeaways, things that are happening after this event from our takeaways, and just all around talk about your experience as well. If you were there, or maybe you're catching the virtual replays or just followed along on Twitter, we want to hear from you. But if we've not met before, hello. My name is Jessica Phillips with Now Marketing Group. My awesome co-host, he's Mike Gingrich. Say hello, Mike. Long time no see. He's the president of Digital Hill, the co-founder of the popular app Woofio, tab site, published author extraordinaire, just all around awesome guy. And I am sharing my little window with someone today. I gotta scoot on over, let her move on in. This is Olivia. Olivia, tell everyone a little bit about you.
I'm an account manager at Now Marketing Group, and I had the pleasure of going out to Social Media Marketing World with Jessica and experience all the awesomeness that is out there. So
yeah, I was excited to have you with me. So she's going to give her takeaways. I think she was in a few more sessions than I was, as I was a networking little buzzy bee, but also excited to have Tony Christensen with us here today. He is calling in from the worst place to have a live video talk, a coffee shop, but we love him nonetheless. Hey, Tony, how's it going? Tell everyone a little bit about you.
It's going great. I'm bringing in the smooth jazz here for everyone at your local Starbucks. But yeah, good to be here. Tony Christensen, I go by Tony Does Ads. I'm kind of a mad scientist with advertising, and recently, as Chad pointed out in one of your comments, I have joined the Now Marketing crew, so I'm the advertising manager now, so really excited to join them and help you guys out and to be on the show, so thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you clarified that. I was like, for anyone that didn't catch our update yesterday, they may have been a little confused, but yes, Tony joined the Now Marketing Group team as our advertising manager. So super excited to have him on. He has a wealth of information when it comes to advertising on Facebook, Google, and just all things. Just, yeah, like you said, an advertising scientist. So glad to have you with us here today. So Mike, were you catching and following along of Social Media Marketing World? What was your experience from being someone that was not in attendance, I guess?
Yes, the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out was real. Some of those pieces there, and yes. Let's see. So, I mean, it was Agorapulse really kept me informed. So they did a good job. They had a number of events there along the way there, and then as well. I mean, Queenies were on it in terms of sharing social content, and so I got to kind of catch a number of your sessions from their vantage point. So that was good as well. So I appreciated that.
That's the amazing thing about social media is even if you're not there, you can have JOMO, joy of missing out, meaning that you can still rest and get the benefits of the actual conference, though, from other people sharing what their top takeaways are and all of that. And still kind of participate in that. It was kind of funny. I was watching some of the Social Media Marketing World top Twitter stars, so people that were tweeting the most from the event, and 2 of them out of the 10 were people that were not in attendance. So you don't even have to be physically there to participate really in this kind of social media event. Anyway, when everyone is sharing and giving their top takeaways. But if you're not familiar with the event, it's Social Media Marketing World. I believe this was its 8th or 9th year.
Yes.
Yeah, one of those. And actually, that's where Mike and I first met.
Yeah, year one, right?
First year, been there every year. And so this year it was a three-day event. So 2 full days, 1 half day of workshops. And so the workshops are more of a deeper dive. And then the 2 days are traditional, opening keynote, closing keynote, and then sessions in between. They're around 45 minutes. Super honored to be able to speak there this year. And all of us I think all of us went to different sessions. And Mike, you're probably following along with different sessions. So I'd like to just kind of go around and talk about our top takeaways from the event, and then just overall about Social Media Marketing World and kind of its beauty, because I do feel like it's one of the premier events to attend if you're interested in staying abreast what's happening in social media, as well as making connections with a lot of people that are diving in and really staying ahead as it relates to social media. So I'll start with you, Miss Olivia. Let's slide you in. I'll share this out while you're talking.
So my favorite session
You have to say
For-
mine. No, I'm
Oh.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Personally, it was Duncan Wardle. He really kind of spoke to what we've been focusing on, like the dark social aspect
Mhm.
of reimagining the customer experience. And if something's not working, you don't have to spend millions and millions of dollars. You just take a look at what you're doing and then ways you can change it internally. So
Mhm.
his example was Disney, how they did the new armbands, the magic bands, how that's how they eliminated all the lines rather than buying a new attraction. They just looked internally. And then also diversifying when you're coming up with ideas. So if it's your same room full of your coworkers and it's the same old new content, bring in somebody else to change it up and give a different perspective rather than doing the same thing. So just kind of a different view on how you're doing things and just reimagining.
Tony, you went
Shake
to
up the perspective.
Yeah.
I wasn't at Duncan's. I've been to his session like the previous year, and yeah, he's always incredible to listen to. Yeah, great sessions all the time.
Yeah, I love one of his quotes from his session, which was learn the rules better than anyone else and then break them. And I know that's a quote by someone, and that is something that Disney is really true to, and he really gets you to think differently about. And that really is aligned with kind of what we've been talking about, like you said, like dark social, as well as just relationship marketing. I know Mike Stelzner did the opening keynote. He talked a lot about just the state of social, which I do agree. Organic social, if you look at just the stats, is dead, where he's like, it's 0.09% is what organic social engagement rates are. However, I don't agree that it's completely dead when you use principles like what Duncan's saying and what we're saying, like building relationships, focusing on the conversation, not just the likes and, the vanity metrics, but focusing on conversation and building relationships, whether it's within an inbox, whether it's within a Facebook group, or something that's maybe not going to have traction on your actual like vanity Facebook page or your Twitter page or Instagram page, whatever, but something that's maybe moving into the inbox and you're still getting some traction from it. And that was actually, a session, my session, where I was showing a case study of how that actually worked, where we went down like 1,200 likes on this page, but we increased over 360% ROI of their actual sales coming as their top revenue stream of driving traffic through social. So their engagement went up, their likes went down, their ROI went up as well. And we focused on organic methods. So yes, we are doing some ads as well, but our primary focus was organic. So it can work with the right strategy. So I love Duncan's principle of just like thinking differently, adding a flavor, your own personality, and then doubling down on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love when he's talking about brainstorming too, which I'm not sure if he talked about it this session as much. But you get into situations where you're working with teams sometimes and they're saying, oh, no, that won't work or this won't work. And I love his kind of take on it is don't ever say that, especially during that brainstorming session, say yes and keep kind of ramping it up. And you're going to probably get to like a crazy outside the box idea. And it might work, it might not work. But it's kind of that idea of let's keep collaborating and see where it takes us instead of thinking like, oh, that might not work. Like, let's just brainstorm right now and let's think later down the line if it's going to work, if it's actually not going to work. I love that insight that he kind of always shares, like just keep adding, keep kind of feeding off of each other and don't kind of think about, is it realistic or not? Because, if you're doing this stuff that's not realistic, I mean, that's the extraordinary stuff that happens and stuff that people like to talk about. So love it.
Yeah. It's getting you to think like a kid, right? Like we're the most creative when we're kids, and like he brings that up a lot. And I loved his workshop on just being creative and stepping outside the box, if you will. And speaking of collaboration, I want to say a quick hello. Mike, maybe you see a few people too, but just a quick shout out to George Demanis. He was a photo taken machine at this event. Really did an amazing job of capturing the moments from a photograph perspective. And he says dark social is where everything is at. Social media engagement doesn't measure what's going down in the DMs. And you're absolutely right, George. They say 80% of the traffic that is coming to your site is actually accounted for in dark social, so you can't even measure it. So really good point there. And he also says Tony does now's ads now.
Love it.
On here, good to see you, Amy. And she says, hi, I'm always eager to learn more. We're glad to have you here, Amy. If you are joining with us today, please give us a hello, and drop us a comment so we know that you're watching with us and where you're watching from. Mike, who else did I miss on here?
No, I think you're up to date from what I've seen here. Just try to glance at it a little bit. There are a few people coming in as we speak, so just good to have the folks here.
Absolutely. Glad to have you with us. So that was your first favorite session. Was there like a second favorite, a third?
I think my third would be, well, my second one would be the TikTok one with Rachel Peterson. She, Michael Stelzner really highlighted in his keynote that video is now where it's going to go. So in 2020, you need to focus on TikTok and YouTube just because it's just the new it thing, because people want to see the story. They don't want to see your interpretation of it. They want you to interpret it. So she also, a highlight in there was create evergreen content that you can use again. So TikTok is a new social media platform for some of you that may not know, and it is
insert the renegade dance.
I got part of it, but not the whole thing. So she said, if you're starting a TikTok channel for your company, focus on the 10 most questions are asked to you. So if you have, what do you do? How do you do it? What makes you different? Focus on that evergreen content that you can share over and over again. So that's a good basis. And then you can add your trends of your renegade dances or the flip the switch challenge. So it's just a nice way to stay on trend, but also deliver what you do and create that process to get that relationship.
Olivia's got us hip to the TikToks here. Now,
There you go.
You started a Now Marketing Group TikTok channel. I was living vicariously through my children before this, trying to stay trendy. I still haven't learned the renegade dance yet, so working on that.
Next TikTok
TikTok right there. Oh, no, we said it live, so it has to happen. Olivia's going to do it. That's what we meant by that. But
it's all you.
But no, I love the evergreen content. I love Stephanie Liu, and she did a phenomenal job as always. But she has the 10 by 10 principle, and she also shares a great way of creating like your content, even for like a year's time, is using top 10 questions you're most often asked and making that into content, whether that's blog content or video content, something that's evergreen, as well as 10 questions you wished you were asked, but people aren't the expert, so they're not asking those questions. And then that really helps you to have that foundational pillar content on your site that's going to help you with search engine optimization, as well as something you're most likely probably going to be sending to clients ongoing because they're asking these questions. You're like, hey, I've got a blog for that. Here you are.
Yeah, and I loved Marcus Sheridan. He touched on that quite a bit too, where he was, his main point too, he's getting so much business from just those organic searches that are happening just by answering those questions. Like, he talked about people hate sharing their prices sometimes, and it can be complicated. And he's like, if it's complicated, just say why it's complicated, say what goes into it, write a blog post about that. And he was sharing, like, he had so many sales, or he shared the leads that he had up there, and just answer those questions. Things like, what makes you different than other people? Things like, what are potential issues that happen? Reviews that you might have, testimonials, all that kind of stuff. What goes into the work that you do? Just those essential stuff that everyone's asking you. Make that content now, and then you can refer people there, or just get those organic searches coming in. So it's awesome.
You're so brilliant. I love me some Marcus Sheridan. They ask, you answer. So simple, but so profound as well. I think I was there at his very first session. I think, Mike, weren't you in there with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. I felt like I was in church. I was like, hallelujah, preach, Marcus. And it's actually stayed a part of our training series when we onboard every new team member. Like that video that he first shared, I think it was like 2012 or whatever, maybe, where he's talking about those principles. And I'm like, that is such a nice way of explaining it, of why people should be answering these questions. And he shares, like you said, Tony, several examples from real clients that were diving in, wanting to buy a pool in his previous years, or previous life rather. He owned a pool company, still owns it, but worked in it. That was his primary business. And where people weren't necessarily in that economy wanting to buy pools, but the people that were wanting the information and wanting to dive deep into what is it going to take? What's it going to cost? Wanting to get that information, because as we know, 90% of all buying decisions start online, and 60% of the sales cycle's over before they're going to talk to a rep. So you should have that content that's answering those questions there. They're going to move on to the next company that does have the answers. So he shared some great case studies on how that content helped save his business. So it's a really, really great way of just delivering up and serving up what people are really searching for. And if we're going to put a bunch of content out there, we all know there's a lot of noise alone online. Might as well make it valuable and worth it, and hopefully going to lead into somebody wanting to purchase from you. So great closing keynote by Marcus. I could listen to him every year all day. He's great. So yeah.
Good. Hey, in the interim here, I just jumped over on LinkedIn there. So I want to say a welcome to Michael and to David, or is it David, like a triple E there. So from San Diego. So we got some people on LinkedIn as well. So just want to welcome them to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Yay. Glad to have you on LinkedIn. I got to meet Michaela this year, last day at Social Media Marketing World. I did not get to hear her speak on LinkedIn, but she's a boss. And just the little bit that I did hear her talk, because as people that nerd out on social, that's what we do after hours, is just nerd out on social anyway. And that girl knows her stuff. So super excited to see her at Social Media Marketing World this year, as well as some other favorites. So before I share some of mine, do you have another one that you want to
My final
get off
one
your chest?
is Mari Smith. She was queen of Facebook. Love like everything she has to say about it. And one of the points that she made is Mark Zuckerberg is focusing on stories, videos, communities, and groups. And I know Bella Vasta, her major thing was the Super Bowl commercial for Facebook groups. So that's, if the experts are saying that's where to focus, that's where you should focus. So they're taking the time to spend their money on groups and videos and stories and stuff like that. Then maybe you should take notice and incorporate that into your daily content. So even if it's just a quick, hey, this is what we're doing in the office today, post your story. That's your foot in the door. That's you getting your foot wet. And I think Mike Stelzner also highlighted that. Just step one, get your foot wet, and then just go on from there. Focus on those top things in Facebook, and you should be set for 2020.
Amen.
I like that. Just, I think that's a problem. People, how do you get started? And you're just saying, something simple, get your feet wet, something you might not necessarily think about, but yeah, what are we doing right here, right this day? Let's do a story.
By the way, did you guys see that commercial? Sorry, Tony. Did you see that commercial? Let's try it again.
No, you're good. I was taking a different direction. So, yeah, but going off of that, I mean, if they're putting money into a Super Bowl commercial, obviously that's a big part of their business and their future of what they're doing and what they're planning on. So, yeah, you should probably have your eyes on Facebook groups.
Yeah, and Bella broke it down so simple. It's because some people think, okay, a group, I get it, I join them, whatever. But sometimes the mindset is, at least when I'm talking to businesses, all right, I'm just going to create a group that's just like my business page. And I think Facebook did a brilliant job, simple, easy, but clear, on selecting some niche groups on that. There's basically a place for everyone. So find this sense of belonging. I love how Bella did this in her session. She does consistently and talks about creating that destination where people feel like they belong. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your business name. It's just what people are going to care about and have this sense of belonging. So she broke it down and shared the highlights, one of the commercial that showed, but also just talked about, how to get that started, and that this is the future. Facebook says it, Gary Vaynerchuk says it, but the future of social is private, or as we like to say, dark social. So you need to start now. Kelly Noble and Arabella also did a great job of talking about the private way that social is going, where is in Messenger, and that's the number one place where people are communicating above actual social media contacts, or actually communicating in groups. So while groups are great and foundational and pivotal to create that community, really it's going to start there and probably then grow into the Messenger. And if we're all probably honest with ourselves, where did we all communicate the most? When we were communicating with people that we wanted to really have a connection with, and it was in Messenger. And I've said every year for the past 5 years that Messenger is my top social media favorite app, and because I do look at it differently, because that is where people are communicating. So the groups, Messenger, private channels where you are hosting conversation, I think is something that you need to look at. And Kelly was talking a lot about creating a systematic way of doing that through chatbots. All the Messenger marketing is how she delivers it, and talks about how to get this opt-in, and then the ROI of it. So it's not just this trendy new thing, even though she's saying be the Netflix of your generation. The future is now. don't be the blockbuster, but she was showing the ROI of that. So just even like with Agorapulse, having people during a live show comment 5 if they want to get more info, the opt-in rate of that website, sign up. Or, she was delivering messaging systematically through using messenger marketing and just shared a breadth of information on how to get that started. She is really the chatbot queen, if we're going to keep using the queen term, because she is a queenie actually, so it works. But Tony, what was one of your favorite sessions?
I'm of course biased. I loved Azrael Rat's session. Sorry, I had to check to see if I was still playing jazz music here. We are, so yeah, so he had just a great mindset that I loved. And he was basically like, look at organically how your business sells, right? So, and this is all advertising for Facebook ads. So he's like, look at organically how businesses are selling. So typically, it might start like, think about you online shopping or you on Facebook or whatever. Usually like it might be a friend tags you, or they tag the spouse or they tag the friend or whoever it might be and say, hey, check these out or whatever. And then you start to look at it and then maybe you go to the website, maybe you compare prices, all that kind of stuff. So really think about and look at kind of analytics and how people are actually purchasing from you and replicating that and figuring out how you can replicate that with your Facebook ads, with your funnels. So I thought that was, just a really cool, just like organic way of looking at it. Like just, you don't have to reimagine the wheel and try to do like webinars and landing pages and all this stuff. Just think like, how do people actually shop from you? And how can you kind of expedite that with ads? I thought that was really cool. Another thing he mentioned too, is a lot of people, when they do start to do those comparison prices, shopping, when they're going around and you might have a $300 product, he mentioned instead of, having them do all that kind of organic steps to the research, the tagging their friends and stuff and all that fun stuff, he said instead show them an ad at the very beginning that talks about the price. So you're not really hiding the price and it kind of comes back to being transparent. But then he said kind of after that, in that first ad, you can kind of show why it is that price. And I remember one of our ads that we ran that did really well. It was for leggings, and it was like, why are our leggings so expensive was the headline. So you're kind of hitting that pain point. You're talking more about organically when people see it, like, oh, that's expensive, right? So thinking about how you can kind of tweak your funnels and tweak your ads based on how people are naturally talking about kind of organic sales and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was really just, I was like, oh, like a lot of light bulbs went off in my head there.
Why are leggings so expensive, Tony?
What's that? We're
wondering, why are leggings so expensive? Do you have the answer?
That's on next week.
No, nice. I want to know. The curiosity is going. I don't know. It's something about Azrael and like Chris Penn. Every time they talk, I just like sit there and like blink. Like I'm just like, you're so smart. Like I have nothing I can comment that's even going to be at that level. Like they are brilliant. So yeah, I agree. Those sessions were amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. And do you want me to say another one now?
I want to know why leggings are no. Yeah.
So another kind of eye-opening moment for me too. I've used Twitter's advanced search before, and I've kind of just searched, Facebook ads and yada yada yada, or a specific product to see kind of people are talking about it, and what they think about it. I went to Dan Knowlton's session, and he is just an amazing videographer, video agency, founder with his brother Lloyd. And he was talking about Twitter, and he said what they do is they do an advanced search, and they look at people that have retweeted or had a tweet that had people retweeted over 100 times. So what's really cool about that is then you can kind of see how are the people that are shopping for whatever this product, how are they actually feeling? What's something that's actually getting them to engage, and not just a reply or not just a thumbs up or like, they're retweeting it. So it's kind of a sentiment that they feel as well. So that was like, I've always done that with like testimonials and looking at, the actual Amazon reviews or whatever, but thinking about Twitter and how you can see, in real time, what are people actually retweeting and how strongly they feel about something. I thought that was kind of another really cool way to kind of get in the minds of what your customers are feeling, and just being able to leverage that again with ads or with organic content.
I love that. And honestly, like, I don't know if you've seen Mike Kim's session, but like he had a really great way of like the types of content to write. And I don't want to misquote this, so I'm going to read this directly. But he was like, if your audience is unaware, write stories. If they are problem aware, write secrets. If they are product brand aware, make them a promise. And if they are advocates, make them an offer. And he was talking about like how to deliver up like the right copy at the right time based upon where your audience was at. And it was just like genius. So I'm like going to copy that and put that in the notes here in the comments, because I just thought that was a brilliant way of like explaining how to meet your audience, kind of where they're at in their journey and what kind of content to deliver up. So kind of on the same vein there.
Yeah, I love that one. That's great.
Me too.
I want to hear about
Mike, is there anything else that like caught your eye?
I want to hear about Jasmine Star.
Oh yeah, so I went to, I really like this, and this is, again, kind of going back to bringing stuff into the DMs, and she kind of just gave a very good way to do stories, and I started testing it this weekend, actually. I went to a baseball game, and basically she kind of laid out the kind of the 3 steps of how to get people to engage with you through stories. So basically she said for the first story, kind of give the foundation or give the scene. So for example, I said, I'm going to a baseball game, to spring training. I just moved out here to Arizona, so of course I got to go to spring training, And then she said for the second one, kind of provide tips, or it could be like sharing more of a story. So share kind of the experience of what's going on. So you have that first one, you're giving the foundation. The second one, you're giving tips. And then for that third one, ask a question and use like, those little sticker or whatever they call it. I think they call them, I don't know what, she had a name she used. I think she made it up, like engagement tool or whatever, but where you're asking questions, you're getting people to give you that feedback. And kind of what's really cool about that is, you are sort of telling a mini story real quick. And I have noticed that's kind of what a lot of Casey Neistat does with a lot of his YouTube videos. He kind of has this kind of let me lay the scene of what this video is about, right? I'm going to try this, or I'm going to open these out. We're going to see what these boxes are, what people sent me, all that kind of stuff. And then he's kind of just giving you the story, giving you the experience, and then he's asking for feedback, like what should I do next, or whatever it might be. And the other side of that's really cool too, is so you're getting people engaged. They're relating to the story. They already have that foundation. And then when you ask them the questions, you're prompting them because you're sharing your experience that happened, or you're giving them tips. And then basically when you ask them for that feedback, basically what Instagram sees is these people are engaging with this person. So basically the next time you post, boom, your story is one of the first ones that they're going to see. So I was like, ooh, light bulb. And I knew that with Facebook and comments and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really think about it as much when it came to stories. And I thought that was just a great, easy, like 3-step way of kind of lay down the foundation, tell the stories, get them to interact, and then kind of get those DMs going and get that dark social going.
That's so smart, because I think most people think it's like chronological, right? It's like, oh, the last person to make an update to their story is like there, and that's not the case. Like Instagram's continuing to change their algorithm, just as are all the other social channels. So I really, really love that advice too. I also want to just give a quick shout out kind of in the same relation to that as Anne Hanley's her keynote session. First of all, like I just give up like as a speaker, like after hearing her, like she's like the most amazing storyteller, presenter, had us all on like the edge of our seats waiting for, there was a bunny bun was like, you got to be there, or listen to the audio or video, whatever they're posting. But what she was talking about in her story was like basically trying to get this bunny to buy in to basically what she was trying to feed it. She wanted to make friends with this bunny, right? And the whole analogy though was brilliant, the way that she tied it into the ultimate goal that all of us want as businesses, which is to capture the attention of our audience and get the buy-in from them. And the moral of the story was like how you really need to be patient with it, right? Like not overly aggressive, like trying to shove some food, in its face. And that's not how it works. They're going to run away and probably not come back. In her case, with the story that she was sharing, this very forgiving bunny kept coming back and she kept testing different methods. And ultimately, it was a win, right? She ended up being able to feed this bunny, but she learned in the time that it was part of her analogy of actually, what did this bunny want to eat? And so she wasn't feeding it the wrong thing, and how to take time and how to approach the bunny. And really the whole thing, I think we can learn a lot about just as businesses, right? We're so tempted to, as soon as we see somebody that could be a great prospect, it's like go in for the kill, right? How many times do we all see that on LinkedIn? As soon as you make a connection with someone, they're trying to go in for the pinch. And how much does that turn you off, right? Like it just is bad. As well as they may not know enough about you to even know if that's what you want or need. So when you really do take the time to know your audience, get to know what they like, and then gradually take time to build up that relationship with them, it may feel like it's a lot longer of a process, but you're actually going to have a better average of actually closing the deal than if you're just pitching and going after people right aggressively right away, where they're not going to come back. So take the time, really understand your audience, tell a better story, get to know what they want, and ultimately then you'll have that conversion. So kudos to Anne Hanley. Not only that, she freaking broke it down at the end of the day. We all got asked to go on the stage. I love that Social Media Marketing World brought out the 2-minute movements, and where it was just like throughout the day, we're sitting, your brain's fried, you're getting a little fatigued. And similar to what we talked about, Mike, at the Tony Robbins event, they brought in a lot of movement this year, and a lot of that was dance and fun. And so the last end of the day before the closing keynote, it was 2-minute movements, and they brought up several of us, including Brian Fanzo, my good friend, myself, Ben Amos, and Anne Hanley, and we all had our own little move that we had to do on stage in front of everyone and get everybody moving at the event. So it was great.
Nice. So, and how did they weave that in? Like, I mean, they had you come up, but I mean, what was before it? Was that a placeholder just for fun, or did it kind of tie into topical, or what?
What, the movement or what?
Yeah.
No, the movement was literally just, that's what we need in our bodies. Like, if you really want if anybody listened to our talk on the Tony Robbins event, and our recap of that is very similar to what all of us need. We're all so busy with working and getting into the zone that really it's not doing us any justice if our brain's not fully at a capacity of where it could be. So it's like taking that moment to move your I can't say that. Reoxygenating, is that a word? It is now. You didn't.
Sounds like it.
Sounds like it, right? So you're getting oxygen to your brain, right? And you're moving, and you're now starting to, everybody was then smiling, where we were first like, okay, another session, right? Like you're smiling, you're moving, you're getting into that playful zone to where you're more at your peak, and just it's healthier for us, right? So it can't be wrong.
Yeah, and I love how they kind of brought that about, because they had that, the group for Social Media Marketing World and everyone that's attending, and they had Lizzie, who goes, I think her handle's at 2-minute moves, and she's just incredible. So I talked to her kind of all about it, but basically she reached out to them and she was like, this is what I do. Can I do it at Social Media Marketing World? So what she did was she posted a video originally in the group, and she said, everyone's traveling. Here's what you can do to, loosen up your hips and help your neck out and all these like different things. So it kind of blew my mind, because it was like, it was at the end of the day. She went up on stage, and I was like, okay, she's going to have us, do the shoulder shrugs, and, and it'll be fun for a little bit or whatever. But then they started playing music, and then she's like doing it to the music.
We were
all
dancing.
Of a sudden, everyone's like flossing, and like just like escalated quickly. And then Jessica's on stage. Like, so it was really cool. And I thought that was a great addition, just to kind of wake people up, because I think a lot of times you're just drained, especially just all the networking that you do and the networking parties. And then it's like, okay, it's the last thing here, and it's an hour, and they dim the lights, and then you're just like dozing off kind of. But it was a great way to kind of turn it around and kind of give everyone the energy and get them excited for the final closing keynote, which is awesome.
Shout out to Lizzie at 2-minute movements. Everyone needs her or someone like that at your event. I mean, it really did make a big difference of getting everyone's attention span back re-engaged to what was happening. And it was just a lot of fun. There was some memories made. There was some videos that were taken while I was dancing on stage. But no, it was all good fun.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me. That's her story. She's sticking to it. Yeah.
Got it.
No. Any other of your favorites, guys, or anybody that we didn't mention so far? I mean, I could go on forever, but. Okay, so some of my favorites then was Brian Fanzo, of course. Like, I just love his, just human approach, and talking about, making the connection. I mean, I think he and I are aligned on many things, but really just focusing on, being more human, showing up consistently, doing, your video, and not worrying about perfection. As he says, like, perfection's a fairy tale, and really just showing up consistently to connect with your community. And he's like, it's not about even getting comments, it's about the connection and really having and building community. And he was like, get people to connect with you, but then highlight them, right? Like, so it's, your page isn't necessarily all about you. It's like you highlighting others. And that should be a really great way of what kinds of content that you're putting out. And it's genius. And that is a great way of building community, and shining the light on others, really does, still shine the light on you, but in a way that's going to build relationships and community of advocates that are really going to then have your back from there. A lot of you guys mentioned the sessions that I all love too. I love Bella's, of course, Kelly's, all the Queenies. Jen Herman did an amazing job on Instagram. That was, of course, good. And then my other favorite was Tyler Anderson. And he talked about user-generated content. And he was talking about like using all the things that we talked about now. So knowing your audience, knowing your story, right? And like giving people an opportunity to actually create user-generated content. And he was like, having a spot that's like called selfie spot is not a selfie spot. You want to create moments, like whether that's your funky menu if you're a restaurant, or a cool chair that you have in there, or something unique in an experienced way that people are wanting to create it because it's so cool and different. And then he talked even about a car wash where they had a great idea of doing like car wash karaoke, where you could send in a video of you going through the car wash, doing some karaoke, and you could win, I think it was like a package for this car wash. And all of these videos that were coming in and again, and how many people were actually engaging with it, because it was a lot of fun. So it was building community, it was getting engagement, and it was a great way of enabling your audience to tell the story for you. And perfect. Like user-generated content is something that we should all really want, because that means that people do care about the brand, they are invested in it, and they get it, right? So several phenomenal examples from Tyler Anderson. And I think that really is the future as it relates to when we're talking about dark social, equipping our audience to be able to tell the story for us, and in a way that's going to make others want to come and be a part of our brand as well.
Yeah, and I think those like ideas that stand out and are unique, people just love to be a part of. I hate to say it, but like I'm tired of going to conferences and going to the sponsor booths and having them be like, "Can you take a picture and share our hashtag?" And you're like, no one wants to do that, with your whatever it might be.
Is it a bad t-shirt that like cuts off your circulation on your back? Like, I'm good. Wow.
Yeah, and so it's really just more about, how can you make an experience? How can you like just give them the backdrop that's amazing or whatever to take photos with? Even like the Social Media Examiner, the party that they had at Park and stuff. They had all of those different like lighting areas, and they had like a crazy drinking contraption thing, and it just those experiences you just want to video, you want to take selfies in, do that kind of stuff. Not like don't force it down people's throats. Like take a photo, take a selfie with our stuff. Like. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. You have to think, what do people actually want to do? And usually, it's those unique experiences that they want to be a part of.
Talk about FOMO, seeing those pictures from Park. So I presented the day after Park. This was the first year I didn't do a workshop where I got to get mine over with and then enjoy the rest of the week. I had to do the session the day after Park. So I was looking at all those photos like, being adulting is like hard. Like
Park was a blast.
We gotta go to bed so you can present the next day. Like, no, it was good though. Those photos did look amazing, but you're absolutely right. So creating opportunities for people to be able to do it themselves, but not having your logo plastered right in the background. I was just talking to Peg yesterday, and we were talking about, like, I did a party with Wave.video, and it was just a social media marketing world party. And it was like, well, we didn't see logos or anything anywhere. And I'm like, I am like many others. Like if your logo's on it, it's not necessarily a gift, right? Like it could be. Like I'm not against branding and everything, but it's about creating that experience where people remember it because of the way you made them feel, and not feel like they were just there to be kind of a forced sponsor for your thing, right? So like, I agree with all of that. So I don't think your logo needs to necessarily be on it or a big hashtag or anything like that. And share the information so people can participate, but let them do it because they want to and they actually care.
Yeah, I was invited to some parties, and I was kind of scared to attend. Not yours, of course, but I got invited to some, and I was just kind of scared to attend because I'm like, I think they're going to make me do something, so I don't think I want to go.
If you enter, you just have to give a testimonial for and then sign your waiver.
Yeah. But then I also, I went to go see Jessica's session, and there's a bunch of people outside, and the doors are closed, and I'm like, what's going on? What happened? Her session was full, and they literally shut the doors. I couldn't even go and see you speak. I was sad. I had to do my show, like my Managing Expectation show, about halfway through. So I was going to sit in the back anyway. But I went and tried to open it, and they're just like, no, you can't. So kudos to Jessica, because she had a packed room. I think maybe Jen Herman's Talk 2 was packed and closed, but there wasn't a lot of sessions that were completely booked and they weren't letting people in the door. And yours was definitely one where they're like, we're going to get in trouble with the fire marshal here. You can't come in because, Jessica's got the knowledge and she's sharing it. And it was just what? So kudos to you. That was incredible to see.
That's good. It's good. Thank you. No, I was very honored that people came in and attended the session. And I did a follow-up session like later that afternoon. I met some amazing people and super honored that I'm like connecting with them now after it. And we've had several great conversations. And that really is what this event is all about. Like, honestly, yes, we shared a lot of the great tips and information, but it's about the connections that happen there. Mike and I met there the very first year on a bus ride. And I was like, we're new besties. Like, it's just happening. You don't really have a choice in the matter, Mike. We're just going to be best friends forever. And so he hasn't been able to leave yet. Just kidding.
Good times have developed out of that. Yeah, that little ride there. And we went to some like natural history museum, right? We were like walking around dinosaur bones and stuff like that. Yeah.
No better way to make your best friends.
That was the experience, right? I remember it.
Extinct dinosaurs. Yeah. No, it's great. And that's really, honestly, I did not attend as many sessions as I normally do because it was really about like connecting and building relationships and learning. So I think that's the benefit of going to events. Yes, you can catch this, virtually, and there's so much you'll get out of it. But I really do encourage like attending real in-person events, and we'll kind of like talk about another one coming up, which is a Social Media Week Lima. So if you are interested, maybe you missed Social Media Marketing World, or you just you got that fever now and you want to attend another one, we have one coming up in June. It's June 17th and 18th. It's called Social Media Week Lima. It's in Lima, Ohio, not Lima, Peru, but it is a 2-day event as well, where you're going to be able to make those connections. You're all going to be able to sit through the same sessions. And we have a lot of the phenomenal speakers that we mentioned and talked about today that will be in Lima, thankfully. Amazing people that are going to be sharing their wealth of information. One of those amazing speakers being the Tony Does Ads, Tony Christensen, talking about his wealth of information on ads. So super excited to have him, Bella Basta, Kelly Noble, Bella, Jen Cole, just phenomenal people. I mean, Brian Fanzo, the list goes on and on. We actually have over half of them named right now. SocialLima.com. You can get the information. The ticket price is a little bit less than what you would spend going to San Diego. And yeah, we still have an early rate now to where you can go. You get both days, all your food, swag, the whole shebang. Mike Gingrich will be back again. He can't get out of that either. He's just again like, part of our friendship contract. He's just like there every year. Yeah.
Hey, one of the best conferences I go to, so wouldn't miss it. Excellent.
Yay. So love to see you all there, and so happy to be back in our show. I'm hoping we don't have to miss as many sessions again. I know we've kind of been hit or miss here because of the traveling speaking. It's that time of year, but we'll be back here next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with another speaker from Social Media Week Lima, but also sharing their wisdom on the thing that is that they do. So if you want to find out more about the show, you go to magnetmarketers.com, sign up for the notifications for the show. And I just want to thank all of you for being here and sharing my window with me, the Olivia Smith. Yeah. Mike, good to see you again. Glad you are feeling better. And glad to have you on the team, Tony.
Tony,
thank you.
And thank all of you for joining in with us this week. Let us know what your top takeaway is from Social Media Marketing World 20. If you were there, if you weren't there, maybe what you caught on Twitter or what you'd like to know. We want to hear from you. And we hope to see you back here next week, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, have an amazing rest of your week. Much love to you all. Mwah. Hey. See ya.